Oh, those two
And you got a
are awesome.
1-2 punch that of wonderment and grease that you just don't find every place.
Yeah.
It's just really good. Anything they do, I think, is very good.
Yeah.
I hardly ever eat a hamburger from anywhere. I've always said I can make a lot better hamburger than you can find out in restaurants. But there is a few of them around.
Yeah.
There's a White Grill over there in Nevada,
Uh-huh.
They
and
do good.
they've been around
Yeah.
since 20th century. Yeah.
Yeah. They know how to do it
Yeah.
good. And you don't mean the turn of the 21st
Well, no, I
century.
meant the
You
other
meant
one.
the other
Yeah.
one.
I thought about that after I said it.
Oh my.
Yeah, they were on that. Actually, White Grill was world nationwide at least, and they had them on there on that show on TV. What's that, Boss?
Diners and
Where the boss goes to whatever
oh yeah.
company he owns and puts
Uh-huh.
part in it,
Uh-huh.
and they had White Grill on there one night.
So he just goes in as an employee and,
Yeah.
and tries to
Well, that's
see
the
what's
way they
really
make the
going
show.
on.
I don't believe that. I mean,
Well, they might.
how many of those places
Might.
going to hire a guy that comes up and says, I'm going to make a show? Of course,
Probably
if
comes
they know
down
they're
from
going to get a
corporate.
show out of it, I suppose they would.
Yeah. Yeah.
It probably comes down from corporate. We've got
Yeah.
this guy, and this TV show has contacted us. Probably the
Uh-huh.
one showing up's the one that made it happen.
Yeah, that'd be a good advertisement for them.
Yeah. So anyway, they do a pretty good job.
Undercover Boss.
White Grill.
That's it. Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
That one's, let's see, you go to the old 71 North, which is the first light, I think. No, it wouldn't be the first light.
It's the
Second.
first light after you cross the bridge at the bottom of the hill, isn't it?
No, that's the new way out.
Is that the new
You
one?
missed it
Okay.
there.
Oh, okay.
You had up in town there where you had to turn and go north, and you made a little jog in the road there, and it
Mhm.
sits right there. You remember that tunnel you had to drive under?
Yeah.
Under the railroad? It's sitting
Yeah.
right on the edge of that.
Okay. All right.
They're pretty busy in there.
So how long are you going to get to stay?
Well, we're going to be here until probably Tuesday morning.
When you head back home?
Yeah, Tuesday's the 26th, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where you been, countries you been in lately?
Well, Tanzania and Romania, I guess, are the ones that I've been in the last couple 3 months. And I was in earlier this year. I was in where was I? I think I was in Thailand and Cambodia.
How long do you usually stay in a place?
I'm usually not there more than about 8 days.
Hmm.
I try to plan it as much as I can. I try to plan it so that I'm only out of town one weekend, and if possible, I'll try to plan it so that I can be coming back into town at the end of that weekend. I don't like to leave Ange by herself too long. Although the longer I leave her, the more independent she gets,
Well, you've got to be
and maybe I don't
there.
want that. She
Yeah.
misses me a lot
I know she
for the
does.
first 3 or 4 days, and then after that, oh,
gets the hang
who
of
are
it
you?
after that. I noticed the
I can
scenery.
get along without you. What are you doing here?
I noticed the scenery in Romania. That's a beautiful place.
It
isn't
really is. Romania's a pretty
I can't
country.
believe how beautiful and green, and they've
Yeah.
got mountains. And
Yeah, got the Carpathian Mountains
Yeah.
there that are
Beautiful.
just gorgeous. They're
They're not rocky, are they?
They
don't
no,
seem
they
to
are
be
not rocky, and they're not like the Smokies either. They're kind of a halfway in between.
They're not covered with trees, And they
Oh,
spell-
well, now the Carpathians are
Oh, are
lots
they?
and lots of trees.
Well, I saw in that one picture I saw somewhere there was kind of a blue and pink shades, and I thought,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it was at the
Probably
top
up-
though,
that was
above
probably
the tree
above
line, maybe.
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. Oh, they were beautiful.
But
Picture.
yeah, we had driven through part of the Carpathians, and when we got up on top, it was snowing, and it was beautiful. It's the first time I'd ever been to Romania in the wintertime. I've always gone in the summer usually with leading a mission group of some kind, and that's when you usually do those in the
Yeah.
summertime.
Yeah.
But the gypsies are all gone in the summertime.
Where do they go?
Yeah, they fan out across Europe and they make their money during the summertime.
Are they honest people? I
Well-
mean, my thoughts of gypsies were, you know,
As a general rule, the gypsies are not honest people, to tell you the truth, but they are very sharp business people, and they've become that by necessity, because the people that they live around, you know, the larger countrymen of Romania, for instance, all the Romanians typically hate the gypsies. The Hungarians hate the gypsies, and so every country has its gypsy population, and the people just hate them. It's been that way for almost 2,000 years. The way I understand it, the Romans took a bunch of northern Indian men and women captive and took them with them on their warring conquests when they were trying to take over Europe. And when they won their battles and decided to go back home, they just left them up there. All the Indians,
they got
they just left
started.
them up there, and that's the people group that has become the gypsies. And so, you know, the people hated them. Came with the Romans. How come you didn't go home with them?
that's right,
Romans?
that's right.
And so they hated them. They couldn't understand what they were saying. They wouldn't give them a decent job. They wouldn't sell them any or rent them any place to live.
So they're
And
more or less forced into their lifestyle.
they really
aren't
are. They really are. And so they've been living by their wits for a couple thousand
What
years.
kind of a language do they have? Do they have
Well,
their own
yeah.
language?
They speak a language dialect that's called Romany, Romany, and each country has its own version.
Oh.
The Romanian language, for instance, is called Romani Calderash, and the gypsies in that part of the world had become very, very good metal workers, and copper workers, coppersmiths, and so they made great cauldrons and cooking utensils and things like that, and so that's where that Calderash comes from. So Romani Calderash is the Romanian gypsy language, and the Romani language over in Hungary is a little different. All of the Romanis, to my understanding, are pretty much exactly the same, except for about 20% of their language that comes from the dialect of the country that they live in. And so that's one of the things that we were, you know, letting them know, that if you want to make your broadcast understandable by all of the gypsy people around Europe, then what you want to do is you want to squeeze all of the Romanian out of it, so that all you've got left is that
It's the
heart
Yuri language.
Romani language. Yeah, exactly. And those guys have really taken to that training.
I bet they have.
They really have.
So this is a Christian group
Yeah.
of gypsies.
Yeah, this is actually, to our knowledge, I'm sure there are others somewhere else, but to our knowledge, this is the first generation of teenagers that have grown up in Christian homes. Their parents were saved
That's
15,
great,
20
yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
And so they brought their kids up in the church and in
great.
Christian homes. And one of the kids that I was training this time around was about 7 years old when I was in Romania training the first group of gypsies, training their parents, his parents, to
So it's something he
to
wanted to
produce.
do all his life, I bet.
I suppose so. But I remember writing I wrote a show that they translated into Romany to record as the first gypsy program, just to give them a model to go by. And you ever hear a Prairie Home Companion on National Public Radio? It was Garrison Keeler. He would come on and tell stories about Lake Wobegon, Minnesota, and it was kind of like the Grand Ole Opry of folk music. And I've listened to it for years, and so I thought, the Gypsies, they've got this reputation for great music and poetry and stuff like that, and so that's the way we wrote that original program. And Kiki, who was the 7-year-old, his part in the little skit was to go out and get firewood. His dad told him, go out and find us some firewood so your mom can cook supper. And Kiki said, I've been all over the place and there's no firewood. You get out there and find you some firewood. I don't care if you got to dig up somebody's fence post. You bring some firewood in here. And so Kiki went out, and a little bit later in the skit, he comes dragging a fence post up, but it's made out of concrete.
Got to be a little more specific.
Yeah. And his daddy says, Kiki, you did a good job. I like your fence post. Next time, get one that'll burn.
That's cute.
So we were training Kiki and his contemporaries how to reach their own people, their own age group.
That's great.
Yeah.
The ones I've ever come across were beautiful people.
They are.
Yeah.
They are a
just
beautiful
pleasant
people.
to look at. Yeah.
And they're they stand out from
They do.
the regular population there.
I bet they do.
And I've told people, for years, people who complain about the racism in America, I said, you come to Europe with me and let me show you what real racism looks like.
Don't want it here.
The racism that is against the gypsies all over the world, particularly in Europe, where they're the ones that our Democratic Party hold in such high regards. They're the civilizations that have been around forever, and they're a great society, and they've done this and that and this, and we should model ourselves after them. I say, yeah, you want to model yourselves after racism. Let me show you where.
Just go over there and live. Yeah.
That's right. And it's a racism that is almost accepted as a righteous thing. In fact, it is by many people. I was taking a group several years ago, and on the last day of the mission group trip, we had traveled and had gone to see a beautiful old monastery, and we toured through the place, and the Mother Superior came up to us after we had walked around a little bit to tell us a little bit more about the place, and I think she was there to kind of put the bite on us for an offering, but anyway, she came around and she said, "So, you have a group here, and why have you come to Romania?" And I said, "Well, we came to teach gypsies how to create radio broadcasts." She looked at me and she said, "You like them?" And here's a lady who's supposed to be the bride of Christ.
That's right.
She has absolutely no interest in reaching the gypsies, and she thinks she's completely justified in
I'm
that.
sure she does.
Just about, it's kind of like the Negroes there.
No, that is exactly the way it is. Only, in my opinion, it's worse.
Yeah.
Now I remember, my family moved to Albany, Georgia in 1960.